listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Tomo, you magnificent bastard, I read your book. I drink your milkshake.
How dare you?
I call that bold talk for a one-eyed fat man.
Fill your hand, you son of a bitch.
Captain.
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 Captain. Captain. Captain. Captain. Captain. Captain.
No, not yet. Not yet. Don't pass out on me yet. Of course you realize this means war.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Welcome. Thursday, July 23rd, 2020. I'm back. I'm nationwide. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, where I'm broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California. Always spell it with a K, a mere 2 miles east of the locus of evil on the entire left coast, the Bill Mill, the belly of the beast, the Capitol building in downtown Sacramento at 10th and L Streets, where late at night you can hear the death of common sense and its concomitant wail as it wafts from that putrefying edifice. And at the end of the show, when I exit right over there, that door, the plush, resplendent, sumptuous, and palatial SHR Media Studios, I'll be smelling the odoriferous stench. It's terrible, of sulfur, brimstone, and evil emanating from downtown Sacramento. Be forewarned, what you're about to hear for the next 2 hours consists of my opinion only, and no one else's. Now, because of the fear porn that has gripped this nation, the saloon is no longer open, but I'm still serving stiff drinks. Facts, history, logic, rationality, proportion, context, tradition, intent, and common sense out the back door. It's a reminder we don't water our drinks just like we don't water our conversation, politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law. We talk about it all right here at the saloon, where the speech is free, but the booze is not. This is 2020. I'm done with bipartisanship or compromise. This is the new age of modern political warfare. Make no mistake, we are at war. It began with a soft coup against President Trump. It continues with a United States that has lost its mind and is ripe for two things: either utter capitulation or essentially a second civil war. You choose. You choose. If our Constitution and our Bill of Rights don't prevail, we have absolutely lost this nation. And it won't be coming back in any kind of recognizable form you're familiar with. Because if we lose our freedom here in the United States of America, where else are we going to find it around the planet? The answer is nowhere. Okay. Mark this. 8:06 p.m. Pacific, 11:06 p.m. Eastern, 1749 and 127.723 subcluster Grote, paragraph 4 in Bolivian time, because that's how Bolivian time goes. I made this prediction. I, BZ, made this prediction. As November 3rd nears, and or with debates in the offing coming very close, if there are debates acquiesced to, here's what's going to happen. Mark my words. Joe Biden is going to magically, mystically contract coronavirus. The Democrats will step in and they will appoint who they really want and who they've wanted all along. Now, as to whether or not that's going to be Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris or Stacey Abrams or insert major black female leftist here, with the exception of Hillary Clinton, who could be wearing blackface by that time? Who the hell knows? Mark my words. At the last moment, Biden will be conveniently moved aside. He's sick. He cannot do it. He's old. He's elderly. You've got to make this understanding. And now we'll put somebody else in. And if you were talking earlier about a brokered convention, well, it will be the equivalent, essentially, of a brokered convention. Today, in Twitter, have I been set upon by trolls? Today is officially Troll Day at BZEP on Twitter. You can find me at BZEP, at BZEP, on Twitter. And the trolls hate it that I'm telling them that all the mommies that were in Portland that had all their hands together, oh, they got hit with gas and bullets, and it's just not fair that their mommies got hit with bullshit. They were female members of Antifa. Oh, in chat, welcome to Mike Pasqua in SHR Media chat, the Alaskan and Sergeant Booker. I haven't been over to Facebook chat. I'll have to open that up in just a moment. So I love it. I make these leftists cry because one of my first retorts to just about anything that they say is 3 words that will anger any leftist. Well, 4 words. The first 3-word phrase is, I don't care. The second 1-word phrase that really pisses off leftists is, no. You can never tell them no. But because we're talking about Joe Biden. Oh, I got to tell you this. Okay, the show tonight is going to be like this. As I'm telling you, I should probably open up Facebook and see how Facebook is running, since I've found a magic way to get into Facebook and start Facebook, even though I'm on major suspension. Fuck Facebook. Anyway, welcome to Mike, welcome to Alaskan, welcome to Sergeant Booker. What's going to happen tonight is I'm going to have Sackhead Sean. He's going to be returning in the second hour, and frivolity and mayhem and bedlam will commence at that time. Sackhead Sean may or may not be liquored up at the time. Don't know, but that's one of the cute things about him is you never can tell. In the first hour, we're going to talk about Trump achievements and also some major breaking news and revelations regarding the soft coup against what I customarily have been saying since 2017, a soft coup against a presidential nominee, a president-elect, and a sitting president. Now, I found this and kept it for a night just like tonight. It's a little long. I'm going to be First, I'm going to start with 2 news stories about this generally that just broke today. And because of these news stories, I thought this is the perfect time to play. It's a little long. I will be stepping in occasionally. It's 24 minutes. But in 24 minutes, it summarizes exactly what the hell happened with the soft coup against President Trump. From whom and why. You'll be hearing that. I've got a great story by Victor Davis Hanson called Peak Jacobinism. And you might be wondering, Jacobin? Jacobism? What the hell is that? Well, I'll tell you. First off, though, and I've got a ton of audio cuts. Like I say, this is going to be, and if you want to tell people what's really happening, hey, welcome to Sarah in chat, in the SHR Media chat. If you want to point people to what really happened with President Trump, with whom and for what reasons, point them to the first hour of this show. Because I'm going to feature 24 minutes, some of the most worthwhile 24 minutes, by Dan Bongino about what really happened. Well, as we're going to begin the show, let's start with a real honest-to-goodness, honest ad about
Today
Joe
I'm
Biden.
proud to endorse Joe Biden because he will be an extraordinary president.
We cannot win this re-election. We can only re-elect Donald Trump.
With a clear path to lead us out of this crisis.
We have to take care of the cure. That will make the problem worse no matter what.
Joe Biden brings values and integrity to work every day because he never forgets his roots.
Kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down.
We need a forward-looking, battle-tested leader who will fight for the people.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
The strategic thinking to bring our nation together.
I don't count drunk driving as a felony.
A leader who is the personification of hope and courage.
All men and women created by you know the thing.
Values, authenticity, and integrity.
His hands were down my skirt and up my skirt.
Today, I am proud to endorse Joe Biden because he will be an extraordinary president.
Thank you, Nancy Pelosi, because Joe Biden is an extraordinary president. I had on last Thursday night, a week ago, welcome to Sarah Nichols, and Jack Alexander. I'm looking for people in Facebook chat. I got a bunch of people watching in Facebook chat right now, but I don't see any convos going on. So I'm looking at Facebook chat on the left here, and I'm looking at the people on a lot of folks in the SHR Media chat. Thanks for being here tonight. Last Thursday night, I had Lily Tang Williams on. She was living in communist China during the era of Mao Zedong and the Cultural Revolution. Isn't it odd that it seems as though people who fight for this country and want to be here desperately are some of the most patriotic Americans we'll ever hear? I want you to hear another patriotic American, another person who fought to be here, and somebody that you're not going to hear from the Democrats or primarily any of the other shows. You ever wonder, by the way, why there aren't massive leftist shows that are successful? 2 words, Air America.
Look at our backgrounds.
Oh, sorry, we're having trouble playing this video. Oh, isn't that funny? Because Facebook has removed a bunch of things from me. Now I'm going to have to go completely out and completely back in and start again. Because, and you can't tell me it's because Facebook doesn't want you to hear this stuff. I can't tell you how many videos. I'll go back to some of my older blogs and their posts, and the videos that I had there are all gone. YouTube videos all yanked. Let's try it. Una más, one more time.
Look at our backgrounds. Just think that in 1961, as a 13-year-old, by myself, in my way to Spain. I wasn't even coming here. I arrived in this great country And almost 60 years later, I'm sitting next to the President of the United States, talking about the American dream. The only country in the world, no other country in the world, that you can start a business from the trunk of your car. And within a very few years, with hard work, commitment, and all the core values that we learn from this very culture of ours, we can become very important to our future. We can become those people who make the next generation better than the one before. This is the only country. Why do you think you had to close the borders? Because everybody in the world wants to come over here. Nobody's ever forced to come over here. We come over here, in my case, because my parents chose that I would not be indoctrinated by the communist country, by the totalitarian country.
Okay, stop right there. Do you see a linking, a common thread here with all of this? I went into great detail last Tuesday night, 2 nights ago, about how the ultimate goal for leftist Democrats, the American media maggots, anarchists, Antifa, socialist Democrats, nihilists, let's throw everything in there, is the reaching of communism. And for those of you who don't believe that that's the ultimate goal, let me expand the worldview a bit. And now let me throw Islamists in there too. Because there is an Islamic proverb that is true in Islam, specifically the Middle Eastern version of Islam as practiced. And I've said for years, Islam is as Islam does. No matter what anybody says, it's about their actions. The second BZ axiom that I've learned from Islam is, this is how it is in Islam. I've had people come back from the Middle East, soldiers who worked for me, tell me pretty much this is one of the first things they discovered. Me against my brother. Me and my brother against my cousin. Me and my brother and my cousin against the tribe. Me and my brother and my cousin and the tribe against everyone else. So let me expand what I said, what people are trying to do to the United States. Yes, communism will be a major portion of it. But make no mistake, this is about the complete removal and the utter downfall of all of Western civilization. Europe, the United States, Australia, any westernized country, that's the goal. Take it all down, burn it. And with that much at stake, now you can see and you can understand why these people who hate America, Ilhan Omar, married her brother to get into this country so that she can corrupt it from within. Make no damn mistake about that. She despises the country that she cheated to get into. She wants to make it like where she was from. Mexicans who come into this country illegally want to make it the country that they were from. That's true with any major group of individuals who come into this country who do not wish to assimilate. They want to make it the country that they were escaping from. Someday they may achieve that. And then the United States is destroyed from within. Let's see. Nancy Pelosi, Chucky Schumer, Joe Biden have a combined 125 years in D.C. politics. And it's all OMB's fault. Everything is OMB's fault in 3 years. And you can tell me it's all coincidence. That's what all these leftist fucksticks are telling me all over Twitter and social media. It's all Trump's fault. They can no more think There is no more thinking, because thinking isn't something that's taught in American education anymore. It's all by rote, massive leftist, and that's essentially not going to stop. I am telling you, Josh and Jack are in Facebook chat watching the show. Thanks for being there. So let's hear something about what's been occurring in the past 3 years. Because Trump has been in office for 3.5 years. What's he done? Other than dodging all the firearms and the darts from the media and Pelosi, who have done nothing in 125 combined years. Let's see. I have a little bit of a list. I had one that was going to read, and I have another one, an official list from the White House, but I'm not going from the one from the White House. I have that on another tab up here. Trump recently signed 3 bills to benefit Native people. One gives compensation to the Spokane tribe for loss of their lands in the mid-1900s. One funds native language programs. And the third gives federal recognition to the Little Shell Tribe or Chippewa Indians in Montana. Trump finalized the creation of the Space Force as our military's branch. Trump signed a law to make cruelty to animals a federal felony so that animal abusers face tougher consequences. Didn't hear about that, did you? Violent crime has fallen every year as he's been in office after rising during the 2 years before he was elected. Trump signed a bill making CBD and hemp legal. Leftists acknowledging any of that? Nah. Trump's EPA gave $100 million to fix the water infrastructure problem in Flint, Michigan, which leftists created and wanted to take zero responsibility for. Under Trump's leadership in 2018, the U.S. surpassed Russia and Saudi Arabia to become the world's largest producer of crude oil. Guaranteed Biden or whatever puppet master is running Biden, they're going to put you back on blood oil and conflict oil. You will never get yourselves off oil if you like pharmaceuticals, plastics, rubbers, and thousands of other things that you enjoy so lovingly in society, from your iPhone, your iPad, etc. But leftists aren't smart enough to know that or remember that. Trump signed a law ending the gag orders on pharmacists that prevented them from sharing money sharing savings, sharing money-saving information. Trump signed the Allow States and Victims to Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act, which includes the Stop Enabling Sex Trafficker Act, which both gives law enforcement and victims new tools to fight sex trafficking. Trump signed a bill to require airports to provide spaces for breastfeeding moms. The 25% lowest paid Americans enjoyed a 5% income boost in November of 2019, which outpaces a 2.9% gain in earnings for the country's highest paid workers. Low-wage workers are benefiting from higher minimum wages and from corporations that are increasing entry-level pay. Trump signed the biggest wilderness protection and conservation bill in a decade and designated 375,000 acres as protected land. Trump signed the Save Our Seas Act, which funds $10 million per year to clean tons of plastic and garbage from the ocean. Didn't hear anything about that from the leftists. Of course not. It's all about making sure that you do not enable Trump in any fashion. As an aside, you know, of course, that's why they're not allowing, leftist mayors, governors, don't want federal troops into any of these cities or states. Because if Trump is effective and brings down crime rates, people will recognize what a cynical, hypocritical sham are leftists. They cannot and will not allow that to occur. Trump signed a bill this year allowing some drug imports from Canada so that prescription prices will go down. He signed an executive order this year that forces all healthcare providers to disclose the cost of their services so that Americans can comparison shop and know how much less providers charge insurance companies. When signing that bill, he said, no American should be blindsided by bills for medical services they never agreed to in advance. Hospitals will now be required to post their standard changes and charges for service, which include the discounted price a hospital is willing to accept. In the 8 years prior to President Trump's inauguration, prescription drug prices increased by an average of 3.6% per year. Under Obama, under Trump, drug prices have seen year-over-year declines in 9 of the last 10 months, with a 1.1% drop as of the most recent month. He created a White House VA hotline to help veterans and principally staffed it with veterans and direct family members of veterans. VA employees are being held accountable for poor performance, with more than 4,000 VA employees removed, demoted, and suspended so far. I'm actually getting tired of reading all this stuff. And it's almost the bottom of the first half hour. So let's move on. I think you get the deal. By the way, if you go to if you want to find out all of the Trump accomplishments, you can go to whitehouse.gov /Trump administration accomplishments. Well, here, since I'm here, why don't I read a few of his? Almost 4 million jobs created since election. More Americans are now employed than ever recorded before in our history. We've created more than 400,000 manufacturing jobs since his election. Manufacturing jobs growing at the fastest rate in more than 3 decades. Economic growth last quarter hit 4.2%. New unemployment claims recently hit a 49-year low. Median household income has hit the highest level ever recorded. African American unemployment has recently achieved the lowest rate ever recorded. Hispanic American unemployment is at the lowest rate ever recorded. Asian American unemployment recently achieved the lowest rate ever recorded. Women's unemployment recently reached the lowest rate in 65 years. Youth unemployment has recently hit the lowest rate in nearly half a century. Lowest unemployment rate ever recorded for Americans without a high school diploma. Stop. Coincidence can go to hell. If President Trump were to continue, if none of the rest of this were occurring, President Trump running on just a sampling of his accomplishments would be essentially a shoo-in for November, despite the fact that leftist Democrats and the American media maggots continually and have continued to throw everything at him. But wait, there's more. After all of this, I have been completely disabused of coinkydink. There is no such thing as coincidence anymore. Do you think there was any coincidence that right around in February, from November to February, it was the Communist Chinese Party that somehow managed to insinuate the coronavirus into the United States? It was the Communist Chinese Party that created COVID-19 in Wuhan that somehow magically escaped and destroyed as much evidence as possible to indicate how it possibly got out. And then the Chinese let it go to Europe. And they shut down travel from Wuhan to every point in China, but flying from Wuhan to every point on the rest of the planet was somehow A-OK. And then a Minneapolis officer knelt on a man whose name really doesn't make any difference anymore because it's not about him. As I indicated, in 2 hours last night, go see the show. So, do you think, ladies and gentlemen, that any of this you can place into the category of, yeah, that's coincidence? Nah, not buying that crap at all.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunetz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey, are you guys listening? This is Shannon from Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media. I know you've been wondering where we are and what's been going on. Well, folks, that's right. We're back. So please join us 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday on SHR Media, on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, and Facebook Live at 11 a.m. on Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM at Facebook. You don't want to miss a minute. We've got lots of guests, lots of segments, and lots of interesting things. And let's face it, there's nowhere for you to go, so you might as well tune in. Again, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. We're back live on the air on SHR Media, 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday, audio and Facebook Live, audio and video. Yes, we are going to do video. Facebook Live, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Hope to see you soon.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
It is he that is me, bringing perspective from across the sea. Join me, Jack Alexander, 4 days a week for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast, as I take a unique outsider's look at the news and issues affecting life and liberty here in the USA. I'll show you what the mainstream media refuses to. Politics, border security, defense, healthcare, travel, nothing is off limits. Catch the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast each Monday to Thursday on Facebook, YouTube, and everywhere good podcasts can be found. Also, check out the website, www.jackalexanderexperiment.com.
Southern Sense is conservative talk with Annie, the radio chick you bellows as host, and C.S. Bennett co-host. Informative, fun, irreverent, and politically incorrect. You never know where they'll go, but you'll love the journey. Annie is a top conservative host on Top Talk Radio and features some of the finest guests packed with important politicians and newsmakers. Listen every Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, noon to 3 Pacific, on the SHR Media Network. Remember, Southern Sense is common sense.
After 6 years covering terror and corruption, the Unpleasant Blind Guy is making a change. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker and YouTube through SHR Media and on the Western Free Radio Network as I team up with Jeff Mitchell, host of the English Defense Elite radio show on blogtalkradio.com. Check show pages for airtimes. It's the Unpleasant Blind Guy.
On EDL Radio.
There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we are back. Thanks for being here tonight. I greatly appreciate it. I am BZ. This is the Saloon. This is my saloon. It's shut. We're serving drinks out the back. Nobody's sussed that out yet. You happen to be on Facebook like I'm not because I'm trashed for another month. You need to go to the USGOA, the U.S. Gun Owners Association. If you are a member of Facebook, become a member of the USGOA. You have to know somebody, get in there. Great articles, great supporters of firearms and the Second Amendment. 2 articles, 2 stories broke today, and then I'm going to play you 25 minutes, about 25 minutes, 24, 25 minutes of the greatest amount of common sense that you have ever heard about the soft coup against President Trump. This article came out today in the Federalist. This is by Sean Davis. The headline, Declassified Documents Show FBI Used Defensive Briefing in 2016 in order to specifically spy on Donald Trump. Stop. I used to work for the FBI. If you trust the FBI anymore, you're a moron. If the FBI contacts you, never say a word unless the first word out of your mouth ought to be lawyer. Lawyer, for those of you who just tuned in, lawyer. By the way, if you want to talk to me, lawyer. And then see A and B again. The new documents detail the FBI's attempts to use a briefing ostensibly meant to warn the Trump campaign about foreign intelligence threats to spy on the Trump campaign itself. Newly declassified internal FBI documents prove the top U.S. law enforcement agency used a so-called defensive briefing of the Trump campaign in 2016 to spy on and collect information about Donald Trump himself. The new documents, which are just the latest in a string of declassifications regarding the FBI operation to spy on the Trump campaign and later the Trump administration, detail the FBI's attempts to use a briefing ostensibly meant to warn the Trump campaign about foreign intelligence threats to spy on the Trump campaign itself. Right here, go to thefederalist.com. Sean Davis. The headline, Declassified Documents Show FBI Used Defensive Briefing. Go there and read the entire story. Don't trust the FBI. Do not talk to the FBI. And yet, despite all of that, he was elected president. I found this. I wasn't meant to find this. I had to put it in a very, I guess you could say, a secure place because I suspected, you know what? The second I play this, if you haven't already heard it, and I bet you haven't, I got to find some place to stash this because this is going to disappear. This happens to be Dan Bongino speaking at a conference, and he's telling us what really happened. Let's listen to ex-Secret Service agent, ex-NYPD officer, and great massive individual with insider knowledge of how the deep state actually works. Dan, go ahead.
Forget it. That's dead and buried. The media's done. They don't do journalism anymore. It's activism, nothing more, right?
Oh, and isn't that funny? Facebook says, where I pulled it off and had to record it, they said, I'm sorry, we're having trouble playing this video. Just like the other video that I was having trouble playing. Okay, so let's, I have a backup for this because somehow I sensed this was going to happen. So I knew I had to have a backup. Yeah, okay, let's go to the backup.
Here's how this whole thing starts against Donald Trump. During the election, the Obama administration, which had done whatever it wants because the media is lost in this country, folks. There's no media. Forget it. That's dead and buried. The media's done. They don't do journalism anymore. It's activism, nothing more, right? The Obama administration had grown comfortable with the idea of weaponizing government against their political enemies. It had happened over and over again. We had the IRS scandal. We had the AP phone record scandal, the Jim Rosen Fox News scandal. And I ask you this, what happened to any of the people involved?
Nothing.
Anyone? Yeah, the answer is nothing. I have to do zeros like this now. Because I used to do zeros like this, but I found out through the liberal media that somehow this means like a white power symbol now or something. I thought it meant okay or zero, but the media says, no, I'm serious, like these idiots in the media will tell you. So now I do zeros like that because I'm like afraid of some media idiot. These people are crazy. The Obama administration had gotten completely comfortable with the idea of abusing government for their political means. So what happens? This plan gets hatched, and I'm going to be candid with you. Where exactly it's hatched, nobody is yet sure of to this day. Matter of fact, if you're familiar with my commentary on Fox, I say often one of the great mysteries of this case is what's paragraph 1.
Now, he'll tell you what that is.
What do I mean by that?
What is paragraph 1?
When I was a federal agent, when you arrest someone, you have to do what's called an MR, a memorandum report.
Yeah.
Paragraph 1 of that MR is always how the case started. I got a call from Jane Doe, bank fraud investigator, said this credit card number was stolen on April 14, 2015. I made a few calls, and the next thing you know, it's an 80-page report about this massive scheme. Paragraph 1, though, always lays it out. Always. Do you know to this day we still have no idea what paragraph 1, the why they started to spy on the Trump team was? Now, I get it. It was for political. I get that. But at some point, somebody, you have to understand, folks, had to put down on paper a semi-legitimate reason to start the most massive spying operation in a political campaign in U.S. history.
Nobody knows.
Nobody to this day will tell you what that is? I know what it is.
You know what it is, too.
So the first plan they do to hit the Trump team, folks, is they learn to manipulate these about queries in the NSA database. The NSA has a database of a whole boatload of information, metadata, texts, that kind of stuff. How it works is too complicated in the time I have. But what you can do is you can query that NSA system, and you can get a whole lot of information. Well, what happens? This is plan A. This is how they're going to get the information. I hope, if I'm not following, please stop me, because this is important. The Obama administration figures out that through unmasking, in other words, wiretapping people, pretending they're targeting foreigners, and then querying information in this database, that they can get all the political opposition research in the world that they need against the Trump team. It's beautiful. No one's going to call them out. The media's on their side, right?
Yep.
But there's a good guy in this. There's a white hat. Somebody in the government sniffs this thing out. That's why I tell you, this wasn't plan A. This was the plan. They were going to unmask people, wiretap people, and they were going to query this NSA database and get all the information they needed about the Trump team.
An admiral?
But somebody smells a problem.
Ooh.
And he's not having it. Huh. And he's the white hat. He's the good guy in this story. And it's Mike Rogers of the NSA.
Oh.
Mike Rogers of the NSA senses that there's something wrong about these about queries. In other words, who's tapping into the database here and making political queries? Now, folks, some of you, I don't know your politics. I assume most of you are conservative, libertarian, or Republican, but that's fine either way. If you doubt any of what I'm telling you, just Google the FISA Intelligence Surveillance Court, their report on about queries. Because Mike Rogers goes to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court and says, Houston, we got a problem. These queries are supposed to follow very specific guidelines about terrorism, and all these metrics have to be. You can't just spy on Americans in the database. The FISA court looks into it, comes back with a report that was released in March of 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, that is devastating. If you haven't read it, you were doing yourself a great disservice. Page 80 specifically is horrifying. Apparently, the NSA database was being queried by private contractors working with the FBI. These were not even government officials. People within the government were using private contractors to query information they had no judicial or legal authority whatsoever to look at. Rogers smells a rat. People panic in the government.
Whoa.
Now, conveniently, what happens right after the election? I'm going to put these pieces together and things will start to make sense.
This is why I love
Donald Trump's elected. He's the president-elect, right? 10 days after the election, Rogers, who knows this has been going on the whole time, these unmaskings, the tapping of the... Now does the Donald Trump tweet, they tap Trump Tower? Now does it make sense? He got the wording wrong.
He was right.
He didn't understand exactly how it worked, but the idea was not wrong. Donald Trump's not stupid, trust me. Guy got elected president, earned $1 billion. By the way, I love how these journalists criticize him. The guy's making $25,000 a year writing clickbait pieces for BuzzFeed. Like, Donald Trump's an idiot. Hard pass, brother. Like, well, the guy just won he runs for office the first time and he becomes the president. But let me listen to Joey Bag of Donuts at BuzzFeed. You're right. You've got this. It's like, so about 10 days after the election, Donald Trump, someone goes up to visit Donald Trump in Trump Tower. Who visits him? Mike Rogers. But Rogers doesn't tell anyone. This is going to trip you out totally. He doesn't tell anybody in the White House he's going up there. He visits Trump in Trump Tower, conveniently 10 days after the election, which from my experience in the Secret Service is just enough time for them to go up to Trump Tower, WACA, the White House Communications Agency, for the president-elect, and set up a skiff where they can talk privately, a sensitive, compartmentalized information facility. In other words, a place where no one can listen in. Rogers gives it about 10 days, goes up there, has this big meeting with Donald Trump, and what happens the very next day? Donald Trump evacuates Trump Tower and goes to Bedminster, New Jersey to never return for another meeting. You think that was a coinky-dink?
Because
like
it's
he did
wired.
That by accident? Oh, let's just go up to Bedminster. I got nothing else to do. Now, again, this is all in the book in intricate detail. The greatest spy story ever told, except the fact that it actually happened. And it happened against you. Rogers has this meeting. Trump evacuates Trump Tower. The very next day, the Obama administration...
Because that's an excellent point. When people are working against Donald Trump, they're working against you.
...comes out and calls for somebody to be fired. Who's that somebody? Mike Rogers. And they start blaming it on things like drone strikes and other stuff. Like, really? Could you be any more obvious? The Obama administration knows Rogers is the good guy and fills Trump in on this entire debacle. He probably goes up there and says, brother, they're spying on you, like right now. He doesn't know, but now he does. So he leaves. All of a sudden, people start resigning from the federal government after that.
Listen to this.
You know who also resigns? Bob Hannigan. Now, who's Bob Hannigan?
Yeah.
Bob Hannigan is the head of the GCHQ, which is the British NSA. Well, why do you think the head of the British NSA would resign right after that Rogers meeting, right after Trump finds out about this massive spying operation? I'm going to tell you why right now.
Because we're connecting the dots.
I'm not taking a selfie of you. I'm not taking a selfie of myself. I'm going to read to you a headline. This is from CNN. See it right there. I didn't Photoshop this. April 14th, 2017. Remember who Bob Hannigan is. He's the head of the British NSA. British intelligence passed Trump associates' communications with Russians on to U.S. counterparts. You think I'm making this up? That's CNN. I didn't write it. They wrote that. So not only is the United States government in Plan A weaponizing its intelligence community to listen in and computer search the Trump team to hurt them during the campaign for political oppo, they're working with the British and the Australians to pass information about the Trump team onto the Obama administration. Don't take it from me. Take it from CNN. They find out about this. Now, this thing breaks down about halfway through. They move on to Plan B. Sorry, there's a lot more to Plan A, but in the interest of time, I want to get through this because the cleanup operation is important. They move on to Plan B. What's Plan B? They realize Rogers is onto them. They're like, hey, folks, we better ease up on the unmasking and the tapping into the database. People are getting caught. This is probably not good. We're leaving a massive paper trail. And what if we lose, right? They move on to Plan B. Plan B is Crossfire Hurricane. They say, well, listen, if we can't spy on them illegally, let's just spy on them legally. We have this beautiful thing called the FISA court, where we can walk into the FISA court, we can get a warrant on somebody, and when you get a warrant on somebody in the Trump team, they have this beautiful thing for the Obama administration called the two-hop rule. Well, it's for everyone, that's for Obama. Meaning, if I spy on you, and you're a member of the Trump team, I can hop to everybody you emailed, and then everybody they emailed. So basically, all I need to do is get a FISA warrant on the guy cleaning the floors in Trump Tower, and I've got everyone. Because if he emailed his boss and his boss emailed Don Jr., I get everyone. Beautiful, right? Not really. Because they were stupid. They were dumb. And they screwed up. The problem with the FISA court, unlike the unmaskings and the tapping into the database, is they had to produce actual evidence in front of a judge. There was a judge in a FISA court that needed evidence that the Trump team was working on behalf of a foreign power, but critically doing it in violation of at least one U.S. law. Folks, they had nothing. They had zero. Do you understand they, to this day, have absolutely zero, remember, don't do it one hand, it's a big mistake. Media people, you'll be a white power person after that. You always do it that way. They had zero evidence at all. The funny thing, I'm only half kidding. That's how worried I am about the media. They're so crazy these days, right? They had nothing on collusion. Nothing. Zero. So what does the FBI and the State Department and the DOJ do? They say, well, we don't really have any evidence. Let's just make it up. We've got this guy we worked with in the past, this guy Christopher Steele. Now I'm going to do this. I'm not taking a selfie again. I'm not taking a picture of you. Don't you worry. I'm going to read to you another headline. You need to write this down because this one's going to blow your mind. Any of you read the dossier?
I have.
You haven't, right?
How about
Not
you
many
guys?
People have. You should.
It's insane.
If you haven't read the dossier, don't you worry. Because the dossier was already written back on April 17th of 2007. You're like, what do you mean? I don't get it. It's 2017, right? No.
The dossier was originally written in 2007. BZ, how can this be? This is why I love Bongino.
No. I didn't get that wrong. It's written right here in the Wall Street Journal on April 17th, 2007. Who's the author of this critical Wall Street Journal piece? Glenn Simpson and Mary Jacoby, his wife. Glenn Simpson, the purveyor of Fusion GPS. The article is called, How Lobbyists Help Ex-Soviets Woo Washington. Folks, I dare you to take a moment and read that piece. Put it next to the dossier. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same story. It was written 11 years ago. Glenn Simpson clearly had this information about Russian influence in Washington. He wrote 10 years ago. Read the names in the article. You know who appears in this article? Paul Manafort, all of these players. So what likely happened after Plan A collapses is they say, listen, let's go to the FISA court and do this legally, but we need evidence. We don't have evidence. Don't worry. Hillary Clinton's got a guy at Fusion GPS, says he's got a story to tell. Ladies and gentlemen, Glenn Simpson took his Wall Street Journal piece like it was a movie script, scratched out the names, put Donald Trump's name in there and said, look, do I got a story for you guys?
That's what a fifth grader does. When they copy information from somebody else, they change the name of the person they copied to theirs and then submit it. By the way, if you happen to be in SHR Media chat, I just put a link to that article from the Wall Street Journal in 2007 in the chat room right now. Take a peek. It exists.
It's all BS. The whole dossier is crap. Read the article. It's a movie script they recycled. It's a fairy tale. It's an Aesop's fable. It's made up. It's a scam. There is not a scintilla of evidence that it's true. Now, the big question on Plan B till I move to the mop-up operation, Plan C. Now they're in trouble. They're in a lot of trouble. Because they realize the dossier in and of itself is crap. And a lot of people at the Bureau know it. They need to buttress it with some stuff to make it a little harder. Now's where the Michael Cohen story comes in, Trump's lawyer. In the dossier is a very specific allegation, right? That Michael Cohen, Trump's lawyer, went over to Prague to set up this whole information exchange with the Russians, right?
Except.
Well, what's the problem? Michael Cohen had never been to Prague, and his passport proved it. Where do you think they got that name, Michael Cohen?
Listen.
You're darn right.
Listen.
They probably were in that NSA database looking up a Michael Cohen, and they got the wrong guy. I know there's only one Dan Bongino. I can tell you for sure there are a whole lot of Michael Cohens. Are you right? John Smith, John Brown, Cohen, these are common last names. They got the wrong Michael Cohen. So now you should be asking yourself, who the heck was Glenn Simpson dealing with in the government that gave him that name? And how did they get it? Plan B falls apart too. Plan B falls apart because something happens in November. Donald Trump wins.
Uh-oh.
Nobody, I'm telling you, take it to the bank, cash this check, and spend the money. Nobody saw that coming. No one. Everybody thought Hillary Clinton was going to get in. This was all going to go away. They were going to appoint their own attorney general, probably John Brennan, and this story is never, ever to see the light of day, not in their lifetimes. But make no mistake, they know what they did. They all know what they did. Every single one of them. So they have to move on to Plan C. Plan C, I call it clean up on aisle 4. Now they're in trouble. They know they've got white hats in the government. I know one of them right now that's still in the FBI. That's unquestionably cooperating with this investigation if you know how to read the tea leaves. And if you read the book, you'll figure out who it is. People start cooperating and talking, and now people are panicking. Now does John Brennan's meltdown after the election make sense? He's the head of the intelligence community who, again, another thing for you to Google, but it's all in the book again. Who do you think John Brennan met with right before the election at the, quote, director level as reported on by multiple media outlets? Bob Hannigan, the same guy from the British intelligence agency that quits right after Trump's election. He quits 10 days after and doesn't tell anybody about it. He says, oh, I'm leaving for family reasons. What do you mean? You related to Donald Trump? What do you mean family reasons? Family reasons, you're leaving because Donald Trump got elected. Who also quits? John Carlin. Who's John Carlin? He's the head of the Department of Justice National Security Division, the final division in the Department of Justice to put their John Hancock on the FISA warrant. He quits right after the election. Who did John Carlin work for? Now clean up on aisle 4 is going to start to make sense. Who did John Carlin work for before he got there into the DOJ? He's Bob Mueller's chief of staff. He was Bob Mueller's chief. Now does Bob Mueller make sense? Clean up aisle 4, get the mops out.
Did you get that?
Everybody realizes they're all going down.
Mueller.
They faked the FISA warrant. They have been involved in massive unmaskings. Susan Rice, Samantha Power. They have been busted by the FISA court, tapping into the NSA database for about queries. They left a paper trail 65 miles long. Bob Mueller has to clean this whole mess up. Bob Mueller is the only... Do you notice how right away they had the name? So Bob Mueller's old chief of staff, he's the cleanup guy. Make no mistake. Bob Mueller's job right now is one thing and one thing only. Keep the heat on Donald Trump relentlessly for anything. Jaywalking, ripping off mattress tags, combing his hair the wrong way. Keep the attention on Trump no matter what, because the minute the Bob Mueller thing is dissolved, all of this is going to come out, and it is hell hath no fury. Folks, they left a paper trail. They can't run from this. Mueller is brought in to get Trump impeached because they don't want any of this to see the light of day. Now, why Mueller? Mueller knows every player involved in this and has intimate connections with all of them. The guy who signs off on the BS FISA warrant, John Carlin, his old chief of staff. His chief bulldog in the case, Andy Weissman. Andrew Weissman worked with Bob Mueller. Andy Weissman was the chief prosecutor on the Enron case when Bob Mueller was the FBI director. Remember the Enron case that they screwed up royally? That's how they know each other. Andy Weissman hates Donald Trump. He's on emails congratulating Sally Yates for telling Donald Trump to go pound sand. Well, it gets better. Who else does Bob Mueller know?
Wait for it.
On Bob Mueller's Enron team, it all goes back to Enron. That same Enron team, headed by Andy Weissman, had another lead lawyer on the case. Who was it? Catherine Rumler.
Well,
Who's Catherine Rumler?
Yeah.
Obama's White House counsel, who was Obama's lawyer while all of this was going on. They know each other. Now, you may say, fine, so Bob Mueller knows Obama's lawyer while this whole Spygate thing was going on.
It's all
What's the big deal?
incestuous.
You Google George Nader, Daily Beast, you can read an article today. Just popped today before we showed up. One of Bob Mueller's.
By the way, welcome to Michael Fitzpatrick in Facebook chat. Mike, I can't say hi in Facebook chat. I'm suspended for a month.
Lead cooperators in this case, who's been selling out members of the Trump team from day one, is a guy named George Nader. Who's George Nader's lawyer? Catherine Rumler, Obama's White House counsel and Bob Mueller's buddy. The lawyer for the lead witness in this case feeding information to Mueller is Obama's White House counsel, otherwise known as the fixer. She fixed everything for them. She was involved in Benghazi. She was involved in the IRS. She was involved in the Secret Service scandal. Just Google her name, put in any one of those things, and who's the person giving the statement? Catherine Rumler. Who was also on that Enron task force? Lisa Monaco. Barack Obama's Homeland Security and Counterterrorism advisor in the White House while all of this was going on. They all know each other. Finally, and I'll take some questions.
Listen.
Your final piece to the cleanup on aisle 4 operation. Who else does Bob Mueller know? Who now has legislative, who has control over this, I should say, right now in the Department of Justice, right? Rod Rosenstein, right? Because Sessions had recused himself, now Whitaker's in there, which was a good appointment, right? A case happens a little while ago, the 10X case. It's around 2015 or so. It happens in Maryland. I'm familiar with it because I worked in Maryland as a Secret Service agent in Baltimore. I wasn't involved in that case at all, but I know the office well. The 10X case goes down in Maryland. The 10X case, a cooperator for the United States government paid $50,000 by the FBI. Comes to the FBI, which...
By the way, there will be a break. I'm not going to interrupt this. We need to continue.
Troubling information that the Russians are helping the Iranians build their nuclear program, and that there's a company helping Russians get a hold of our uranium.
Who?
It's called the 10X case. It was the precursor to something you may have heard about, the Uranium One operation. The same players are involved. The case gets thrown out on a BS press release on a Friday night so nobody will pay attention. Everybody's gag ordered, and it all goes away. That the Obama administration, an FBI paid informant, admitted that we were giving the Russians uranium while they were building the Iranian nuclear program and chanting death to America. Who was the lead prosecutor on that 10X case, the precursor to Uranium One?
Who was it?
Rod Rosenstein. And who's the FBI director? Bob Mueller.
Mueller.
Folks, they all know each other. This is the biggest scam in American history. Folks, I beg of you, I really do. You cannot let your legislative people, your congressmen or anyone off the hook. Whatever connections you have, you need to keep the heat on this. Because if these people don't go down the right way, unlike the Obama administration tried to do it to us, this will happen again. I'm telling you, what they did was such a grotesque, horrendous abuse of power. It disgusts me to this day, and I will never, ever forget that story about that guy we arrested and his crying kid that morning who wasn't going to see his dad for another year. That's a horrible thing to have to do to someone, and it's a grotesque thing to do to someone to unleash the power of the federal government when they did nothing wrong. And Donald Trump did nothing wrong. And if you read the book, and by the way, one last thing before I get to the questions. It's not a narrative. You don't have to read it straight through. It's written like a police file. I think that's why it's been selling like crazy. You can read the last chapter first. You can go right. It's written like a police file because the names, like I said, this is an hour-long speech. I compressed into 20-plus minutes. The names never stop coming up again, ever. Oleg Deripaska, connected to Vladimir Putin, who's connected to Adam Waldman, a lobbyist who's emailing and texting Mark Warner, a Democrat on the Senate committee. Who's Waldman working for, too? Christopher Steele, the guy working for Hillary. They're connected to the Russians.
Everything.
The people that show up at the Trump Tower meeting. Veselnitskaya with Don Jr. and Rinat Akhmetshin. Veselnitskaya works for Fusion GPS on a separate case. And Akhmetshin, the other guy, the Russian intel guy that shows up at the Trump Tower meeting, you know who his lawyer is? Edward Lieberman.
Who's he?
You know who Lieberman's wife is? Evelyn Lieberman. Bill Clinton's old chief of staff. Read the book, folks. It's all laid out for you. So thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
That's it. That's Dan Bongino. I got to take a break, but I didn't want to break that up. I wanted you to hear the whole thing. We'll be right back with Heads SHAUN after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Southern Sense is conservative talk with Annie, the radio chick you bellows as host, and C.S. Bennett, co-host. Informative, fun, irreverent, and politically incorrect. You never know where they'll go, but you'll love the journey. Annie is a top conservative host on Top Talk Radio and features some of the finest guests packed with important politicians and newsmakers. Listen every Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, noon to 3 Pacific, on the SHR Media Network. Remember, Southern sense is common sense.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York. The Lid himself, Jeff Dunnett. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunnett.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Good evening. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show is featured on the SHR Media Network every Tuesday and Thursday night for 2 hours at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. Whilst manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ continues to radically change the world of leftists, one diaper at a time. Stop balancing your checkbooks. Stop cleaning your fish tanks. The bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show is your magnet for truth, justice, obesity, a darkened studio, and late-night freedom. No United States of America freedoms were abridged in the making of this ad.
This is Shannon Wright.
And this is Michael Wright.
Reminding you to listen
to The Right Way with Shannon and Mike.
Every Monday through Thursday.
7 to 9 a.m.
Right here on shrmedia.com.
Join me, Jack Alexander, for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast, as I take a unique outsider's look at the issues affecting the USA. I fearlessly take on the issues that everyone else is too scared to touch. The Jack Alexander Experiment podcast is available wherever good podcasts can be found, like Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcast. The Jack Alexander Experiment, because it's not a matter of left versus right, it's a matter of right versus wrong.
After 6 years covering terror and corruption, the unpleasant blind guy is making a change. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker and YouTube through SHR Media and on the Western Free Radio Network as I team up with Jeff Mitchell, host of the English Defense League radio show on blogtalkradio.com. Check show pages for airtimes. It's the Unpleasant Blind Guy.
On EDL Radio.
There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Featuring the effervescent contrarian Sackheads Clint, plus the unrestrained bulbosity of BZ, the Sackheads Against Tyranny is a real chat show. Doubling your late-night conservative talk show pleasure with double the hosts, you can listen every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Please note, some contents may have settled during shipping. Member FDIC, batteries not included, warranty void in Montenegro.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we are back. It is now the second hour on the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here from the SHR, the sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent SHR Media Studios, where directly across from me I have newly minted Sackhead Sean, who was away, but now he's here, and he's back, and he's nationwide. So, by the way, if you are in... I have microphone? Yeah, you... Oh, wait. Wrong one. There we go. Okay, good point. Good, BZ.
Like a typical leftist.
Yeah, good, BZ.
Oh, no, we're giving you all the coverage you need.
Kill everyone,
yeah,
BZ.
Just hold me back there, BZ.
Right, sure. Don't let anybody talk, BZ.
Look, at your age, I can't expect you to operate electronics well.
Well, unfortunately, that's very true. Okay, now somebody in chat says, hey, are we taking calls? Sure, we'll take calls.
8675309.
8675309. No, that's the wrong number. The number to call is
Damn you, Tommy Two-Tone.
I know. Number to call is 575-208-4481. As a matter of fact,
575.
It looks like.
Well, it probably wouldn't help if I called.
You could, though, if you want.
That would be weird.
575, because 575 happens to be Roswell, New Mexico, and one of my favorite kind of mysterious places. 575-208-4481. That number in Venezuela you can't connect to. The number in Bolivia, because they're on Bolivian time, it just doesn't work. And if you happen to be calling from Las Vegas, 575-208-4481. If you're calling from Britain, the number is 7.
Yes.
Here's a partial score. Green Bay, 10. And welcome to, let's see, what do we got? Alaskan in chat, Sergeant Booker in chat, Jack Alexander in chat, Simone Says in chat, Whiskey Dale in chat, Iggy Mom in chat, Sarah Nichols in chat, Real Mike Pasqua in chat, and 2 viewers who are masked because we don't unmask people here. In Facebook chat, we have Maria, welcome. And Josh was here for a time, Jack Alexander. I have not seen Jeremy Hansen, but that's okay because nobody's seen Jeremy Hansen. He's moving.
The Squatch has.
And he'll be... Oh, that reminds me.
Yes.
That reminds me. Okay, for next week, I'm going to have what I was going to have tonight, but a couple of stories came out, and I decided, we're going to go with the cool story. So I'm going to have a massive coronavirus update on Tuesday night. Probably take about the entire 2 hours. I'm going to have a guest in from...
By then, the numbers are going to be down to 8.
Christ. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy.
You want to talk about the scam of scams.
Oh, God. Yeah. In any event, I'll be devoting... I have so much material indicating that COVID-19 is such a cock-up. Oh, my God. Well, that's probably what you're going to be hearing. Hey, Scott, welcome in chat, on Facebook chat.
I love Florida, though. Hey, you're going to report these right to the White House now instead of the CDC. Okay. Then, by the way, instead of 98,000, we were counting flu and pneumonia patients. It's actually 11,000.
Yeah, well, all we did, it was all about
but that's
it was a decimal point. We had 98,000 people who...
That's how you know it's a bureaucrat doing it, right?
And now it's 9.8%.
Only a bureaucrat can be that far off. 82,000?
Oh, God. You can't write this stuff.
But then when we talk about things like voter fraud, and seriously, though, you look at, somebody brought this up today, I was watching, Florida is a battleground state, right?
Oh,
it's a swing state.
Oh, by God, yes.
Right? So why wouldn't you pick a state like Florida to fuck with the numbers and California? Because you want people in those states to be angry at this president.
Angry, pissed off, withheld,
yep,
held down, economically busted,
I
burst. You want them bankrupt and pissed.
I guarantee you there is political espionage going on with COVID.
Oh,
there's no questions asked.
You can't tell me that any of these major shit sticks that are speaking almost anywhere. And see, here's how you can tell, folks, that certain individuals are telling the truth. If you want to find out who's telling the truth about COVID-19, what I call Wuhan 19, look and see whose videos are being removed from Google, from YouTube, from Facebook,
yep,
from Twitter. When you see videos like those that I have a ton of for next Tuesday, when you see those people's videos removed, then those are the people that you know are telling the truth.
Yep. Yep. That's the sad and scary part, but that's where we live.
Oh, my God. Oh, and I was going to say also next Thursday.
Well, and Thursday. You look at, and I want to speak about this because I won't be around for next week's COVID show. You know, the reality of the situation
Are you not feeling well?
But the reality of the situation is if you are a leftist, i.e. Gavin Newsom,
yep,
and you want Trump to hurt and make people more dependent on the government to take care of you, what do? Keep everything closed.
Yep.
Especially the schools. You can say you can open all these businesses, but what happens when all of these schools are closed, which they will be for the first part of the year, and you have social distance learning and people can't go back to work because their kids are home all day?
Right, and somebody's got to watch the kids.
Right. And so then what happens? Well, now the economy's not opening back up. Schools, well, I mean, we open schools. Businesses can operate now, finally. Yeah, but they can't because you found another way to put a boot to the neck. And I said, this is absolutely 100% political.
It's all political. I said it last year. I said it in 2016. Anything and everything that occurs in an election year is all about the election, no matter what anybody says. And if they say different, then they can go to hell. I can't tell you the wars that I've had on Twitter today with all sorts of people that, and like I said in the first hour, all I have to do to respond to any of these little leftist fuckers is say, either 3 words, I don't care.
Right.
Oh.
How dare you not care?
And then I also say no. So, hey, we got somebody on the line. Who is it, mystery caller? Come on in. Are you there?
I am here, BZ. This is Mike.
Okay, Mike, what do you got, sir? Do you have COVID-19? Do you have the flu?
No, you mentioned earlier about voter fraud and what might or might not happen.
Uh-huh.
Well, I have a theory about that. There are people that say that they don't want the president to win, big. And when I say big, I mean double digits,
Okay.
Double digits. Now, my thing is, if he wins by double digits, then the voter fraud, it's easier for them to cover up voter fraud if it's, 9 points or less, 9 percentage points or less.
Right. Hugh Hewitt wrote a book. Perfect. Hugh Hewitt wrote a book called If It's Not Close, They Can't Win. That's a perfect illustrative point of that.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yep. That's the thing. And we know they're going to do it. And as far as the schools closing, the thing is that they're going to try and keep these schools closed. But what about the private schools? And what about the religious schools?
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. And even for those schools, in order to operate, they have to get approval from the state government still.
There you go.
So they can and essentially what happens when you're in a private school, they can't do as much, believe it or not, with the curriculum as they can with their operation opening and closing, because it's a place where people congregate. That now you have state mandates that are put in place. Oh, you have to have this amount to this amount to this amount. Or if you're in a school with children, you cannot have classes in session because of the potential threat of COVID, blah, 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 blah. But they still answer on some levels to the State Department of Education, which answers to the executive branch of that state.
Well, everything about other than the virus, everything about COVID is what I term as bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I agree with you. Look, it's not. Is it a scary virus? Sure. If you're sick or you're or elderly, or like I worry about BZ all the time. He's practically 100 years old, and I'm afraid that the wrong sniffle will take him out. But it's no different than the flu.
I'm not feeling well.
You don't look well.
I'm a little peaked.
It's no different than the flu, or when Ebola ran through a couple years ago, or all these other things that we had. This is one that, and we're seeing, look, even as you watch these numbers go up, which the Florida thing explains why numbers are going through the roof, but deaths were not. The Florida thing explains that, right? Because people weren't having COVID. They weren't dying from it. They had pneumonia, which is very treatable in most people. And they had, what was the other one? It was pneumonia and something else. Flu.
Right, just standard flu.
So those are very treatable things that people were being treated for on top of COVID. So, and I think I said this to you a couple weeks ago, is these numbers are spiking, but deaths are not. So have we started to grow some sort of antibody naturally just from it being in the air? Maybe. I'm not a biologist.
Not impossible.
What's an epidemiologist? I'm not, certainly not. Or are the people who are getting it just totally asymptomatic and not sick? Okay, possibly. Or is there something wrong with the numbers that we're getting? Because you remember when this hit New York and the numbers for New York spiked, bodies were dropping left and right.
Oh, and I don't disagree at all that this is a very rampant virus. No disagree.
Right. But
I don't agree with the numbers.
Well, now you have the numbers coming back up again and people aren't dying. And you have to look at the totality of evidence, right? How come it was suddenly killing people in New York, but now in California and Florida, it's not killing people, it's just making them sick?
Well, we just discovered in the top 3 states, the worst states for coronavirus, in those states, roughly 40 to 50% of the cases in those states were in nursing homes.
Yep. So it went after the elderly. It's an unfortunate look. It's sad. And anyone who's lost a family member to it, it's even more sad. But we also have to be realistic about what we're shutting down.
Then you had Andrew Cuomo forcefully introduce that shit into nursing homes themselves.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Like I said at the beginning of the show, this is all my opinion. That makes you a fucking murderer, Andrew Cuomo.
Well,
you're a murderer.
If you can prove that he knew ahead of time how deadly this was to sick and elderly, you could have that argument.
I pointed that out in a 2-hour show a month and a half ago, that consciousness of guilt occurred when he changed these particular rules and regulations.
And I will sit here as a normal human being and say, well, did he find out after the fact of, oh shit, that was a terrible idea? Or was he caught? And there's two different things.
Well,
but you also have to remember, though, these are the leftists who, when Obamacare was being formed, were okay with death panels. With people deciding you're too old, sick, or elderly to receive treatment and it's just time for you to die. These people were okay with that. Remember the death panel conversation when Obamacare was coming around? It was everywhere. Why?
Oh, that was Ezekiel Emanuel.
Yes.
Ezekiel Emanuel told everybody that they don't need to live past the age of 75.
Yep. And, of course, they want the sick and elderly because that cuts Medicare way down and the cost of health care way down, and then they can pay for it easier with higher taxes and less people alive.
Right. Just go the hell away.
So, these are the same people who were okay with that. So it has to beg the question, and Cuomo was a huge Obama leftist. He still is. You have to be able to beg the question, was he so ignorant, to which at the beginning a lot of people were, I could say that it's a horrible mistake and just a mistake if you could prove it was pure ignorance, but there should be a paper trail of what information he was getting about the virus from the word go.
I bet it's already destroyed. Well, 2 weeks after he began that, he doubled down, if you recall.
What are we learning, though, as time is going on? Nothing's gone forever in the age of technology.
If you want to bring it back, bad enough. Well, see,
that's an interesting one printed out email.
That's a really interesting point that more people should be taking advantage of, but they're not. Now, here's another interesting point. Mike brought up schools, and with
sorry, Mike, I ran all over Mike.
That's okay. That's all right.
I'm the guest.
You're the co-owner.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
Sean.
You're welcome, sir.
California, always spell it with a K. Also, the L.A. Union, Los Angeles Unified School District teachers said, because all of this creates a perfect storm on so many levels. So they said, because remember, folks, it's all about the kids. When you think it's about the teachers, no, it's all about the kids. Until it's about all the teachers, because the teachers say they're not coming back until, defund the police.
Yep.
That prioritizes kids. A moratorium on charter schools. Now, what that means is, fuck you, we don't want any competition for our union jobs. We don't want to have to compete with anybody. Financial support for undocumented students and families.
They already get it.
Yeah, meaning that, the more people we have in our classrooms, legal or illegal, the more money we get, which means our cushy jobs in the union also get COLAs along the way. Federal Medicare for all, and a state wealth tax. So tell me what a state wealth tax and defunding the police has to do with getting kids back.
Oh, it's
in
eating
school.
What better way
in California?
What better way to educate young children is to eat the rich and give everything away, and then get yourself a raise. That fixes every fucking thing.
Yeah, because why not?
So, but you have to look at when you start talking about teachers unions. Look, my kid's school, and I won't say what school district they go in, but it's probably like out of liberal cities in the state of California. It's pretty high up.
I'd go along with that.
Yeah.
But it's in California. That's always spell it with a K. That's all you need to know. It's in California.
I call it Diet Berkeley. But I said
it's true.
But I said, when they said they're going to close the school for the first half of the year and it's all going to be distance learning, I said, okay, what about parents that have to work? And they said, well, they're trying to come up with some sort of plan to help, mandatory employees as long as you can prove that you're a mandatory employee. But then I said, okay. And they said, but there'll be a cost for that daycare. They haven't figured out numbers yet, but if you're a mandatory employee, they're going to be opening up a daycare that's not run by the school, but it's at the school, but it's different than the school itself. And I said, okay, so all the money that the schools are saving by not opening up these schools all the way, by not paying support staff, food, you're not paying for food because you're not feeding kids, is all that tax money going to go back to the citizenry?
And the answer is
no.
No.
You got to think about how much a school district takes to run just for buildings and grounds. Yeah, okay, you can mow the lawn once a month now and get away with it. Your AC's not running. The cost of running that AC both month to month and the wear and tear before you have to replace it.
You're not staffing a kitchen. You're not staffing kitchen staff. Janitorial costs.
Electricity's way down, right? Building and grounds, electricity. Electricity alone. So gas, water, electricity, gas for the vehicles that it takes to drive around and fill those up and take care of the school districts. Regular maintenance is now gone. That is, for half a school year, a shit ton of money. And what are you going to do with that money, school districts? How are you going to use that money to help those students who are in a bad way because mom and dad have to work? How?
Well, like you
it's
said,
all about the kids, isn't it?
Sure it is.
Right.
It's a perfect storm.
It's all about
on so many levels.
It's all about the kids until it's about the teachers. And this isn't a knock on teachers, it's a knock on teachers' unions. And I know plenty of teachers that feel this way about the unions, by the way. Because what the unions end up doing is, it's usually, here's who gets elected, and this is almost every union. Here's who gets elected to your union leadership. Somebody with 5 to 10 years left in their tenure. They've been in the district for a long time. They probably started as a secretary because they wanted to get their foot through the door. They spend half their year now at these union conventions and not in the classroom. So the school district is paying for subs for them versus the union that should be paying for the subs. But that's neither here nor there. And these people are focused on getting themselves the most money they can until they retire. So their last 5 to 10 years, all they're trying to do is get their 3 top step years. So when they retire, they have the most money in the bank.
Well, and they also know the system.
And
once you know the system, you're in like Flint.
And they don't care about the kids.
Well, the kids are the last element in any equation, especially in the year 2020.
And once again, this isn't the regular teacher who actually cares about their students and does it for the right reasons. These are the people that love their students so much that they do anything to get out of the classroom and go to Vegas for a convention and give themselves a raise. I'm serious.
No, I know you're serious.
They're union assholes. That's exactly what they do.
I'm fully cognizant of that.
That is what they do. You see somebody in the union, they haven't seen a classroom since they got elected to the union. And half of them aren't even like regular teachers. They teach like underwater basket weaving when they have 1 class a week.
But listen, that can be pretty important, can't it?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Hey, Rhett Rasmussen in Facebook chat, welcome, and it's good to see you. I've never seen you here. Well, I've never seen you here in Facebook chat before. I mean, I know who you are, but hey, come on over. I'm on Facebook suspension for a month. If you can, Rhett, anybody, come on over to shrmedia.com. Jump into the chat room there because I can actually respond. If you want to stay in Facebook chat, that's cool too.
Great. You just told Facebook what's going on.
Well,
you just outed yourself.
So listen, I outed myself when I first started.
And look, you mentioned the distance learning with these schools. That's another thing that's going to be hard for these private schools to do is the distance learning.
Yes.
They don't have the money to do it. So,
agreed.
Well, that's go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want you to finish. I just
because I'm going to have to take a break here.
Yeah. That's it. And before I let you go, I did did you see what happened in Ventura, California, with that apartment building over there? I put the story into the chat, SHR chat room.
I didn't see it, but maybe BZ can brief me on it during the break.
It's public housing. See, this is another reason.
Okay, we'll get into that after the break.
See, this is another reason, folks, the government wants to be beholden to itself, because the more you suck at the government teat, the more the government can easily pull away from you.
Yep. The government giveth, and the government taketh away.
And that's their job. Okay, we are going to take a break. I am BZ, that is Sackhead Sean over there. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
The chat room.
You are lucky to have me.
Do you think I was talking to you?
Oh. Oh, jeez.
Okay, I know. How wrong of me.
I'm sorry.
How wrong of me
I'm
to
sorry.
say that. Okay, so we're going to take a break. I will be back with Sackhead Sean. We're going to get into another element of, something happened in Houston recently that is actually kind of laughable, but on the other hand, something extremely serious is going on, and very few people are paying attention to it. We'll be right back after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey, are you guys listening? This is Shannon from Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media. I know you've been wondering where we are and what's been going on. Well, folks, that's right. We're back. So please join us 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday on SHR Media, on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, and Facebook Live at 11 a.m. on Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM at Facebook. You don't want to miss a minute. We've got lots of guests, lots of segments, and lots of interesting things. And let's face it, there's nowhere for you to go, so you might as well tune in. Again, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. We're back live on the air on SHR Media, 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday, audio and Facebook Live, audio and video. Yes, we are going to do video. Facebook Live, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Hope to see you soon.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
It is he that is me, bringing perspective from across the sea. Join me, Jack Alexander, 4 days a week for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast, as I take a unique outsider's look at the news and issues affecting life and liberty here in the USA. I'll show you what the mainstream media refuses to. Politics, border security, defense, healthcare, travel, nothing is off limits. Catch the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast each Monday to Thursday on Facebook, YouTube, and everywhere good podcasts can be found. Also, check out the website, www.jackalexanderexperiment.com.
Southern Sense is conservative talk with Annie, the radio chick you bellows as host, and C.S. Bennett co-host. Informative, fun, irreverent, and politically incorrect. You never know where they'll go, but you'll love the journey. Annie is a top conservative host on Top Talk Radio and features some of the finest guests packed with important politicians and newsmakers. Listen every Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, noon to 3 Pacific, on the SHR Media Network. Remember, Southern Sense is common sense.
After 6 years covering terror and corruption, the unpleasant blind guy is making a change. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker and YouTube through SHR Media and on the Western Free Radio Network as I team up with Jeff Mitchell, host of the English Defense League radio show on blogtalkradio.com. Check show pages for airtimes. It's the unpleasant blind guy.
On EDL Radio.
There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we are back. I am BZ, the bloviating Zeppelin. That is Saculus Hedibus Shaunibus over there, one each, playing drums with the
rulers.
Wait a minute, is that what they are? Playing drums with the rulers! Playing drums with the rulers! As well he should be. I am on suspension in Facebook, folks, until the late portion of August.
Aha, bitch.
I know. But if you happen to be in Facebook, you can go and become a member of the USGOA, which is the U.S. Gun Owners Association. If you like tactical reviews, if you like great firearm stories, stories about current events, and, of course, about the Second Amendment, all things tactical and firearm, Second Amendment, USGOA, U.S. Gun Owners Association. Quick like a bunny, go over there and become a member on Facebook. I am a member. I just can't get to Facebook.
Yeah, you're like the drunk guy who can't golf at the golf club. You paid your membership, but you just keep getting fucked up so much that they just won't let you back in.
Well, and the other thing is, the thing I found out is, fuck, I can want to go to the golf club, but CHP keeps pulling me over for dues.
Every single time.
What the hell is up with that?
Every single time.
Can't even get to the damn golf club. $10,000 a month, and my fees are going for nothing. Damn you, CHP.
And they're hooking you for a deuce that was 3 months ago.
I know. I know. The only thing
that
I can
they already
say
hooked you for.
Hey, listen. That's what Facebook did to me.
Yeah.
I told you
that's
this story.
That's what I mean, yeah. That's exactly what I meant.
Exactly. That's what you're referring to, folks. If you hadn't heard my sob story, it goes like this. I got 3 days suspension in early June, because I said, and this is a direct quote, I said, and Sarah's been quoting me all night in there, I said, Americans are fucking stupid. Now, I didn't say it on a major post on my site. I didn't say it on a major post in somebody else's site. That was a reply to somebody in a comment in another section entirely. That wasn't even my post. It was me responding to someone about another post that I didn't make and I didn't create. All I said was Americans are fucking stupid, which they are. Mm-hmm. And then 3 days. Now, I get returned by Facebook on July 7th or 9th or something like that. And then I say something on Facebook like, bitches, I'm back. back. Well, apparently that pissed him off because a couple of days later, they suspended me on the 15th for, you're suspended for 30 days for saying Americans are fucking stupid. Here, do you want to reply? Oh, you bet your ass I want to fucking reply. So you just suspended me, motherfuckers, for the same thing twice. Just breed, crickets out in the field.
Oh, you'll never hear anything about that. We know that. We know that. You'll never hear anything.
Yeah. So what I have been doing, though.
It still makes me laugh.
I know it is. I can laugh about it now. It wasn't fucking funny then, but I can laugh about it now.
No, you were a real bitch about it then.
I was a big
Yeah,
C-word.
you were.
Yeah. I was not easy to live with.
You were like yelling at me through text, and I'm like,
oh yeah.
I'm not.
All of a sudden, and you're getting things from me as all caps.
I was like, dude,
BZ never sends shit all caps.
I was like, why are you yelling at me right now? Like, I'm not Mark Zuckerberg. I have no fucking clue.
I didn't do that crap.
It's my job to figure out how we get you around it, which I did, but like
I know. No, we didn't. There's nothing that's going on right now to go around it.
No, God, no.
We are.
Everything's on the up and up.
Everything's on the up and up. We are
but what did I tell
obeying
you?
Facebook.
What did I tell you? And I've said this about Facebook time and again. You can bitch and moan and be pissed all you want, but they're going to keep doing it.
Well, yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it. Unless Congress decides to act, there's literally nothing that can be done. The only thing you can do to Facebook is not use Facebook. That's it. It's like what's happening with Twitter right now.
Well, okay. Maybe this is a time.
Oh, boy.
Maybe this is the time to have this conversation.
Okay, birds and the bees. So BZ.
Yeah. Okay, first you have... It's like Shark Week. Yeah. Shark pickles. You're in the water. Shark's in the water.
You're in the cage. Cage goes in the water. Shark's in the water. Our shark.
So what I've started to do,
Mr. Hooper,
is that's what I was going to get to, Mr. Hooper.
Oh yeah, he's the best, Quint. Farewell and adieu,
that's right.
Fair Spanish ladies. I know the whole movie front to back.
Oh yeah. Show me the way to go home. Boom, boom,
no, but in regards,
tired and I want to go to bed. I had a little drink about an hour ago, and it's gone right to my head. Boom, boom. No matter where we go, doo-doo, on land or sea or foam, doo-doo, you will always hear me singing this song. Show me the way to go home. Bum, bum.
Look, I'm not going to have to rip apart this little Facebook and have this little Zuckerberg kid pour out all over the dock.
Okay, and we're not charging you any money for the songs tonight. Just want to let everybody know.
That's probably a YouTube violation now for BMG.
Oh, sure, exactly. Right. I'll owe money to BMI and Gas Cap.
BMI,
Because that's how I get treated these days. But I got to ask you, and people, I actually put I've got so many stories to go over. Maybe we get to them, maybe we don't.
Doubtful.
What the hell?
We were just singing for the last minute and a half, and
why
quoting
not?
Jaws.
Right.
Who knows what's going to happen, BZ?
Why shouldn't we?
Jesus.
So, I've discovered that I put out a poll, and the poll that I got back had maybe about 50 people respond, and I asked, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're thinking. I know what's going through your brain right now.
I'm still
so
a 14-year-old boy at heart.
Because why shouldn't you be? I know.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So anyway,
I'm sorry.
My query, I should say, can I say that too?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
right,
okay.
Was, who is worse with you? Where have you been most censored? Facebook or Twitter?
Oh, Facebook.
Probably 75% of the people that responded said Twitter.
Oh, I'm shocked. Well, here's but they made so I think Twitter. So I think Twitter, you can casually get to more people to say, "Hey, you see my posts," whereas I think on Facebook, you put your post up as long as a few people comment, you're good. You're like, all right, well, it must be there, right? And I think people are under the perception that Twitter is more than Facebook. I think Facebook is look, Facebook. If you haven't watched the Project Veritas behind the Facebook interviews,
God, yeah. Boy,
they employ people whose whole job it is to search keywords and censor
and
things.
Screw with you. If you're a conservative and they know it, clap your hands.
Yeah, exactly. Then they just eviscerate you. So I'm sure Twitter, I know Twitter has something like that, but I don't think it's on the level as Facebook has.
I would agree. So, Twitter, I don't know if I should even say this.
Why, you want to get banned off that too?
I have said and posted things on Twitter that I would never have remotely gotten away with. I know this for a fact on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But the other portion of it is I don't use Twitter like I use Facebook. And this should be no revelation. I'm not on Twitter to have followers.
Right, you're on Twitter.
I use Twitter as a repository, an archive for stories that I either want to write about or talk about here. I don't give a crap less about following you or following anybody else. And, and Facebook, I use that for also for B-roll stories that I don't primarily access from Twitter, because my Twitter feed is going. I'm on Twitter probably 30, 40 times a day.
Yeah,
with updates and stuff. I'm very active on Twitter.
Well, but you look at what gets through on Twitter versus what gets through on Facebook. And look, proof is in the pudding right here. Is our friend Nathan Thurm, who is on Twitter.
Yeah, I've seen him recently within only the past couple of weeks.
Yeah,
3 weeks or so, something like that.
And Nathan said something about AOC is a fucking bitch. With that comment from the representative Yoho,
a pirate's life for me.
But he said, Nathan Thurm says, wait a minute, but she is a fucking bitch. I know you guys are fucking I know that guys can be fucking bitches too, but it's a turn of phrase, not a literal statement. The representative was not insinuating, or he was not suggesting that she was actively fornicating with the canine. Right, so, and that got responses. So it wasn't shadow banned. Whereas if you put something like that on Facebook, you would have been smoked immediately. So that's why I say Facebook.
And if you had one hit on Facebook before that, you would have been gone for 30 days.
Yeah, done.
No doubt whatsoever.
Done. So
and they've warned me. They've said the Zuckerstapo, the Stasi, the Zuckerberg Gestapo have said, any more like this, my friend, and you're going to be gone from Facebook.
The irony that he has his people acting like brown shirts on free speech.
Yeah.
The irony is incredible.
Oh, well, it's like Antifa. You know who I can hear in the background?
Yeah, I just heard her.
I can hear Demi, the studio cat.
I'll go get her because she'll be a lunatic.
There's Demi, the studio cat. I think she's in the back bedroom, and she wants to come out now. So in the background, I don't know if you guys heard it or not, but I did. Even through my headphones, through the microphone, I heard meow, meow. So Demi, the studio cat, wants to come in.
No, she was outside.
Oh, was that outside?
That's outside.
She was yelling that loud that we heard her from outside?
Yes. It's all the time with that bitch.
That's one loud damn cat.
Yeah. She's a lunatic. But yeah, so you get into that sort of censorship, and it's more, Facebook is harder on it than Twitter.
She didn't even come in here yet, did she?
I don't know what she's doing. She's probably sharpening a knife. Look, it's better to just let her do her thing.
I couldn't sleep in here at night, not knowing that cat is here.
Oh, God.
And there are kitchen knives in the kitchen. That are that's how she gets her water.
Yeah,
folks, if you don't know about Demi the cat, she's the studio cat, and she'll get up on the sink and demands that you turn on the tap
and just drink out of it,
so that she can drink the water out of the tap.
Yeah,
that's how elitist that cat is.
She is absolutely insane. And she's not my cat. That's the best part about this is
she belongs across the damn street.
Well, and she's not even belonging across the damn street. She's more like the neighborhood cat. She belongs to nobody, but she has plenty of houses that feed
she's
her.
The neighborhood roundheels?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I thought she belonged to the people across the street.
No.
Oh, okay.
So they give her space,
like Monty Python. Does she go? Is she a goer? Huh? Did she go?
She's obviously fixed. I don't know. Maybe she isn't. Maybe she's just such a bitch. Nobody wants any. I don't know with her. But I'll tell you something. I wake up at least once a week with a dead rodent on the porch.
Listen, that's gifting.
I know. You hear her? She's yelling because I didn't turn the water on.
You evil bastard for not letting her get a drink out of the cat faucet in the cat sink.
I'm married to a cat.
Okay, my show has devolved, but that's okay. It's Thursday. We get to do whatever the hell we want on the show. You want to talk about this article? This article is so significant. I don't know. Put my camera on me. There we go. I just heard her again. Okay, so there goes Sean. He's going to turn on the water for the cat.
We'll never get the goddamn show done.
Sean is going to go turn on the water for the cat because she's complaining. She's bitching about no water out of the tap into the sink. So Sackhead Sean has to go and turn on the water for the cat. Because otherwise, she's not going to drink any water in here. Oh, no. Oh, no. I get the funny feeling this is about the last article that we're going to get to, or the last topic that we're going to get to before the end of the show, because I only got, I don't know, what have I got? 9 more minutes before the end of the show. But apparently this was such a significant article that an issue that even the New York Times came out and talked about it, which I found a little bit shocking. So where am I? I'm on Houston.com. Click to Houston.com. The headline on this is U.S. orders China to close Houston consulate amid swirling accusations of espionage and theft.
Well, they were alleged earlier this week to have been hacking coronavirus information, specifically research for a cure. And that was the allegation that was made, is that the Chinese government was hacking American research facilities to obtain cure information. So that's what kind of stemmed this round.
Now, if this happens, folks, do you think maybe Trump has some inside baseball information that we don't? Oh, yes. And though we're not given all of the particulars involving this, wouldn't you love to be a fly on the wall when something like this is discussed? Did she just walk in?
No.
Oh, you're looking at it, though. I saw you looking at it.
She bit me on my way to do the water. I wasn't moving fast enough.
Oh, that's right. Get your ass going in there.
Literally bit my toe. Just go on.
In the Houston article, it says China has vowed to retaliate after what they call an unprecedented escalation of the U.S.'s actions against China.
You shut our economy down with this goddamn coronavirus. How else are they going to retaliate?
Well, see, here's the other thing, too. Especially with leftists, now we should have included China and Russia and anybody else. Leftists, Democrats, Antifa, anarchists, communists, socialists, all are in this big package, which is whatever these cockbites are accusing you of, that's what they're doing, RTFN.
Well, and you also have to remember, going into this China thing, we had the American scientist and 2 Chinese nationals that were studying over here that were caught and arrested and charged and indicted in the grand jury for trying to smuggle biological science information out of the country back to China.
Right, because they also know that whoever happens to get a vaccine first...
Biological science information. Wow, I sounded like a friggin' genius.
I know. It was impressive. It was impressive.
Research.
Whoever hooks this vaccine is going to be able to make a bundle in terms of whoever gets it out first, and it's efficacious, and it doesn't kill your ass.
Well, and the other thing you can do, too, though, is once you get the vaccine, you can mutate the disease where the vaccine is no longer effective to it, too.
Well,
biological warfare.
It's all about bucks, too. And in terms of pointy-dink.
But if you're China, and look, you've released this once, and I still say this was done on purpose. I don't care what anyone says.
No, that's true. I completely agree. I will continue to say there is no such thing as coincidence anymore.
Yeah, this wasn't...
When this was all going so well for Trump, This was a purposely pulled out ploy
and it also
to be used against not just America, but used against the world. How can the world not conclude that Chinese released this onto them and not to do everything they can to hold China at arm's length now? How can people not conclude that?
It was a month after Trump forced that new trade deal upon them, too, that was going to benefit us financially and hurt them a little financially.
Well, and when they
hurt them a lot, actually. And then all of a sudden this comes out. And then they lie about their numbers, and then they hold back PPE from us.
Right, because
if everyone forgets what an evil player China was in all of this.
The thing that I find so...
And, like I said, you mix into that all the lying. Look, their numbers were like 4,000 new cases on Monday, and then Tuesday, 1 new case. Right, and then they stayed low the entire time. So we knew they were cooking the books.
You knew that was crap.
Everyone knew they were cooking the books. And this is the same... This is the same China who, whether you agree with their religion or not, just took all those Uyghurs, which is an actual name for them, put them on a train and sent them to a prison. Thousands of them. There was drone footage of it, private drone footage. They were all handcuffed, hand behind them, put on a train, northbound. You're going to go work in a concentration camp for the rest of your life. We'll never see your family again.
Nope. Well, and the other thing that people are not saying is that there was also evidence to indicate, I don't remember what show I watched it on today, but it sure as shit wasn't CNN, where a lot of those, a good portion of those people, handcuffed in blue suits, loaded onto trains, were sent to sweatshops, working in factories for whom? Oh, that's right. Nike. Apple, Google, Microsoft, etc.
All the ones who kiss their ass.
Major leftist corporations utilizing slave labor.
But I agree with all that, but I don't want to get too far off topic on what China is as a nation, why they had motivation to do this, and why they have motivation to steal information back. You had the scientists that were taking the biological research and selling it. One of them, an American, had sent up the Chinese research lab that some of this work came out of, allegedly. So you had that going on. And then you had all the allegations of them cooking their books, holding back PPE, upcharging everything, holding back our antibiotics that we were trying to get, all this other stuff. Then you had the Hong Kong thing, which is a major issue, and Trump turned around and put a slap on their PP for that recently. And now you have them trying to break in and steal American research for a cure because, like I said, you can sell it, absolutely, top, bottom, but the other thing you can do is mutate it to make that cure ineffective.
Well, when people say this...
And by the way, I think everything that the Dems, I don't know to what extent, I think the Dems have their hands so far in the pockets of China, the politicians and the Democratic leaders, on the same level they allege Trump did with Russia on the last election.
No, but this is real, as opposed to everything else.
Well, yes, 100%.
This is real as to all the rest of that bullshit. Here's the New York Times. U.S. orders China to close Houston consulate, citing efforts to steal trade secrets. This was so obvious that even the Chinese Times, the
New York Times,
weighed in on this. But I illustrated on Tuesday night how every major entertainment company is in the tank for China.
Mm-hmm. Oh, all of them.
And Biden was also saying today with a lovely little Chinese woman who was going, yes, and saying, oh, the evil Trump for calling out the Chinese virus in China. China is our friend. China's a wonderful... Fuck China. China is our number one enemy.
You know what? I could have seen Joe say, look, those little yellow bastards are lovely people, and I don't know why Trump's doing this. Because he's so far off his rocker that any of that could have come out of his mouth.
I would have been making a commercial out of that for the next 10 years.
He is.
And so would everyone else.
He is the gift that keeps on giving.
The gift of the gob, the gift of the gab. Okay, as per normal, didn't get to a fraction of the crap I wanted to today. But that's okay, but I'm having a great time with you. So I got to ask you, are you going to be around Tuesday?
This coming Tuesday, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
That's way too far out for me to plan.
I know. You got things to do, like balance your checkbook or clean your fish tank. I understand. I completely
wash my
understand.
hair.
Yeah, right. Wash your hair. How about next Thursday? Way too far in the future. For you.
I think next Thursday I'm okay.
Okay.
Let me pull up my calendar that's never full of anything important.
Okay, there's the one that says fish tank. There's the other one that says
here's how
balance
my
your
calendar
checkbook.
works. Honestly, here's how my calendar works.
Okay.
Unimportant shit,
right.
I fill my calendar with it, right?
Oh, excellent.
Oh, yeah. No, grab grapes at store. In calendar, boom, remembered. Important shit like, I don't know.
Doctor appointment.
Surgery.
Right.
Never makes it to my calendar.
Right. Avoid the cargo door from a 727 that's falling on your
I
head.
always get the reminder phone call 24 hours ahead of time.
I just said 727.
Yeah.
We haven't had flying 727s since the 1980s,
in America.
I think.
They're
In
still
America,
being-
there are
being
still
used.
some
Yep.
in Bolivia because, Bolivian time is so screwed up anyway.
Oh, there's some in Europe and some of the old.
There are some
socialist-
tri-holers still flying around.
Yep, absolutely are.
And I remember if there was one thing
DB Cooper
that I remember about the 720, well, okay, then two things. Number one, DB Cooper.
Yep.
And the second thing I remember is a pilot that I spoke to when I was a little kid, and the cockpits were open and you could actually chat with the pilots. In a brand new 727, he said, "Kid, if I lost all three engines, this thing would glide for hundreds of miles." Because they actually had a great glide slope.
Yeah.
Even if they're completely unpowered,
Most
which is something else you don't know and don't hear about, folks.
Most modern planes do. They have a little ramjet that come down out of the belly that spins and creates enough electricity to run the avionics.
Roger Ramjet?
Roger Ramjet.
Do you know why Roger Ramjet saved the world?
Why?
Because he had no sense of humor.
I've worked with a few Roger Ramjets. I think we all have.
Haven't we all?
Yes.
Okay, so, folks, while I'm still here and we're over 10 o'clock, I get it. I grok that concept.
I remember being on 727s. I remember using the stair once when I was young.
Did you use the air stairs in the
Air
rear?
stairs
I
once.
never did.
I think I was about 17, and it was in Texas.
Wow.
I was going to Texas.
You and
Might have
DB Cooper.
Yeah. And I can remember them going down. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. Other airlines are starting to bring loading from the rear back. I've done this out of Sacramento with Southwest.
Airbus A380 did that.
Well,
because it has so many people to jam in.
Well, and now they're retiring them, which is absolutely hysterical. But no, so Sacramento Airport, if certain Southwest flights, they'll bring out a set of ground stairs, and you'll actually walk out onto the tarmac under the plane and go up the stairs to load from the back, so it's twice as fast.
Really?
Even with my knee being screwed up, I always choose that option if it's available because I think it's the coolest thing in the world.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Instead of going to pulling your cart down the long, the little ramp that
Well, you
hooks
still go
up
down
at
it,
the end.
but you go down a separate set of stairs right next to where they enter the front of the plane because I don't care where I sit in the plane. I'm not one of those people. I get there 10 minutes later than everyone else. And then you just walk up the stairs and you load from the back. But I always thought it was the coolest, how often do you get to see the outside of a plane up that close? And other planes that are going by and stuff while it's happening.
Sure. And then smell that great kerosene smell.
Kerosene, yep.
Oh, give me the JP4, dude.
She just bit me.
Because why shouldn't she?
Come here.
If you can grab her, maybe we can put her on camera and show people that there really is a oh, there she is. Okay.
There she is. Hi.
Okay, so folks, if you were doubting... Oh,
you can hear her?
Do that again.
I can't get her any closer. Yeah, there she is. She's crazy. If I put her up here, she'll walk around and...
Oh, I'm sure. There she is. Demi the studio cat.
If I'm sitting in a chair and I'm doing work on the computer and I'm ignoring her, she'll reach under the screens and start grabbing at my hands.
Because why not? Anyway, what I was trying to get to all along is next Thursday, in the first hour, I'm going to have Alan Thomas on, who is a paranormal UFO... Why is the camera not on me? There we go. Paranormal UFO Sasquatch investigator.
Diva.
And, yeah, boy, is she ever. And whenever I have Alan Thomas on, it's a great time. And the other thing is, I'm going to tell everybody about a lot of UFO stuff that I have seen most recently. I'm a watcher of the skies. Watcher of the skies, watcher of...
He also drinks a lot too, folks. So
Who, me?
Those two go hand in hand.
Oh, come on, please.
He watches the sky drunk a lot. It's not by choice. It's just that he's fallen in the backyard and he can't get up.
Whatever do you mean by that? I don't get it. I guess I'm going to have to do this then, right?
Just not when you're drunk.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening tonight to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show, live and direct from the SHR Media Studios. And here I am tonight with Heads SHAUN, one each. Quick, go over there.
Thank you very much.
Heads SHAUN, right there.
Handsome as always.
Handsome as always. If you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at BZEP, at BZEP. I am really, really, really active on Twitter.
Liquor IRL at Costco.
No, I get my stuff at Bevmo.
Oh, what's wrong with you?
I know. Bevmo's
they get decent prices, but you can't beat Costco's prices.
Yeah, they're a couple of bucks. But you got to fight all the people now.
But you get it in bulk.
Well, I use 1.75 liters is too small for me.
I know.
Plus, I need a direct injection.
Have you tried the Costco vodka? It's
No.
good. It's actually really... So it's made the same... right next to where Grey Goose is made.
That's like, what do you believe? Do you believe the American media maggots, or do you believe in some of the finest Estonian sushi? And I'll have to go with the Estonian sushi. Thank you. Okay. Well, that was enough of that, kids.
Estonian sushi.
Yeah.
Everybody quiet down now.
I know. We got to quiet down because...
Everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, Sean.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children.
Good night, Debbie.
Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, Jim Boy. Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on?
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
Have a great weekend.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody
Have a great
doing?
Tuesday.
Good night.
Have a great Saturday. Have a great
Thursday.
Sunday. I know. Have a great tomorrow. It's Friday.
He's in charge,
I know.
folks.
Good night.
Good night. And good luck.